PDR Tool Time, your industry podcast, tools, reviews, and stories. Welcome to another episode of PDR Tool Time. This is episode 133, and I'm your host, Vince D'Alessandro, John Renstrom, Daniel Grom, and that was the background voice of Myke Toledo coming in hard, and our special guest, Dave Schaulat. So we got Myke on. He's going to tease us a little bit because he's got some new sound effects, which are going to be very entertaining. But we are following up on episode 129, where we had Dave on talking about not Wholesale. Dave on. We had Dave Schaulat on the podcast talking about Wholesale. You're right, John.
With our other guest,
Paul Gordon.
Paul Gordon.
So
now, Paul couldn't make this evening's podcast, but instead we got Magic Myke and the sound effect.
Magic Myke with his beatbox.
And this episode is brought to you by
Magnatech Mat, Hog Glue, and Mobile Tech RX.
And I want to remind you, Hog Glue is the number one selling glue right now.
Yes.
Dude, we were killing it with Hog Glue today.
Awesome.
We do like it. Daniel, you don't have to be a good tech to understand that stuff works good. I mean, my students love that, dude.
Awesome.
That's their go-to, man.
Yeah, I'm breaking all my tabs.
Well, stop doing that. You need tabs to fix your job, man. Why are you breaking the tabs?
I showed a body guy how to rough out his PDR work, and they're like, "We got the perfect job. We got an F-150 that they jackknifed the trailer into the cab corner." I'm like, that's not a perfect glue pull job, fellas. Oh yeah, don't worry about it. We don't have to worry about the paint. It's already broke and it's been repainted. Yeah. I'm like,
okay.
That's really not a candidate for glue pulling whatsoever, gentlemen. But by God, Hog Glue and some Black Plague combination of gangrenes, black ice, and we roughed all that aluminum cab corner into place where he's only got to put a little skim coat of glaze on it.
No, sweet.
And we managed to rip all the paint off all the way down to E-coat with the Hog Glue, and then we got the Hog Glue to stick and hook. And we pulled the aluminum, put all the body lines back.
Wow.
And I showed him how to beat down the crowns. Sweet. And
real quick, why is it so much more tackier? Do you have any idea, Daniel?
All I said to Craig is I wanted something more flexible. Is the one criteria I said, and he said that he's going to send me something special, and that was the first one I tried out, and then I tried the rest that he sent me samples of, and I was like, wow, this one's really different. I've never had a glue like this, and he goes, yeah, I'm excited about it, and I'm going, I'm really excited about it. The thing that I was nervous about was that I didn't know if it worked in my area, if it was going to work everywhere else. And so, I mean, I didn't even tell you guys about it because I was kind of scared, to be honest with you.
Yeah. You're supposed to say unicorn piss. We filled it full of unicorn piss, and that's why it works so great.
I told you that in confidence. You're not supposed to say that to anybody.
Have you cleared the air up saying that it's not just for motorcycle tanks? Because I think, honestly, my first impressions was that it was only for motorcycle tanks. That's what you were promoting it as early on. But it's really not. It's
the exact opposite. It's for everything but motorcycle tanks.
It is, yeah.
Actually, I've been pulling for the first time with that, and it's working great. I'm working on an old vintage chrome tank right now, and I pulled a friggin' massive dent using this on the chrome. On the chrome.
What tabs?
Yeah, I was using the oval gangrene.
Okay.
It's the only one that has a strong enough stem. I tried a regular round one and stretched the hell out of it. Just threw that one in the garbage.
Yeah.
But they're the only ones that have a stout enough stem to be able to pull on that thing. But no, I figured guys would figure that out on their own. I figured PDR guys are smart enough to know, hey, tanks are thicker. If it works good enough on a tank, it's going to work great on a car. But Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't care how it's labeled. I'm going to try everything. It's like there's going to be, and that's what I was explaining to these body shop guys as I've been teaching them, because their aluminum dent pullers don't work for crap. So I've been teaching them this, get in and do some adhesive pulling. And then they're like, well, why did you get us all this different glue? Because I'm like, because glue pulling is just a process of elimination. Once you figure out everything that doesn't work, then you're only left with what does work.
Yeah, it's a formula for sure. Definitely a formula.
Now, I don't want to spend too much time on your glue. We will have to
let's move
revisit
on.
this because we do have Dave on, and it's a continuation of what we were talking about last episode 129. If you guys haven't tuned into it, check it out, and you'll know what we're talking about. But we also wanted to touch base on the fact that MTE has announced that it will be having a secondary show next year in the month of September in Vegas. And all of us are going to have very strong opinions on this because, myself and Myke, we've been going there since almost inception. We've been going there at least 12 years. Daniel's right there. He's been going a long time. John's been going, for about 5 years now.
3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
Dave, we finally introduced.
Since Mobile Tech.
We finally coaxed Dave to start coming. He's been there the last couple of years. But we've been there for years. And, what's your opinions, old timers? John?
I personally think they're transitioning to poise it to be in Vegas. My personal.
I do too.
I agree. I agree with Daniel. Yeah.
The guy's roots is from Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. As far as our point of view, from Mobile Tech RX's stance, we've already booked our booth.
Nice.
But I believe I'm probably not going to be able to make it. September is a very key hail month. And unless something changes and I am full-time for Mobile Tech RX and not chasing hail, I don't see how I'm going to be able to make it. Orlando, not a problem.
When's the
January,
exact dates? When is that?
September 16th.
Oh, right in the middle. Huh?
No, I think it's earlier than that.
Yeah, I think it might be over there.
10th
Right
and
after Labor Day.
10th to the 12th.
Yeah.
Okay, 10th through the 12th. Yeah. So, yeah, you're right. Right after Labor Day weekend.
I think I don't think there's room for 2 a year.
I don't think there's going to be 2 a year. I think.
I called a bunch of the tool makers and they're all like, "Yeah, we don't want to do 2 a year."
It's not going to be 2 a year.
It won't be.
I guarantee you.
I'm with you, Myke. I don't think it's going to be 2 a year. I think it's a transition. I think that they're going to oust Orlando, right?
I was already aware of this like 6 months ago. He called me like close to, I don't know who gave him my number or how, but anyways, he contacted me and said, "What do you think about a show in Vegas?" And I said, "I don't know. It's kind of weird. I mean, I don't know. I mean, as far as the intimacy, I'm not quite sure about that. But it is away from the main part because I actually have a timeshare right next door to this place, and it's actually a pretty decent casino. It's pretty cool. It's not a giant casino. It's a nice casino.
Yeah.
So I've already know what the venue's like. Actually, my friend actually does a venue there as well, and so I'm pretty familiar with the place. I think it'll be a cool. It's plenty of cool little bars inside there. It is more intimate than at any other casino I've ever seen, so I think it will work. But if you guys are going to ask me 2 a year, I don't think that will work. But if he said, "Okay, I'm permanently moving it to Vegas," I definitely think it will work. I think some people won't come, but I think
You're going to lose some, you're going to gain some.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think I think in general it will work for sure if he keeps it to 1. But 2 a year is really, really hard to do.
But I think,
That's stretching.
we also have to keep in mind that it's the Mobile Tech Expo. It's not just about PDR. There's other industries that are there, and those industries have been dying off the last 5-6 years. The paint competitions, there's no painters there anymore. Years ago, there was painters there, and not anymore. There used to be window tinting competitions back in the day, and window tinters. I don't even know if there was any window film companies even there the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing window film.
Yeah.
Actually,
I
I think the detail was pretty good.
The window tinters started their own seminar,
Right.
like we did.
Mike, remember when we used to go to Mobile Tech Expo in Tampa, in Clearwater? There was maybe 300 in attendance? And I would say maybe 70% of them were not PDR technicians. They were from every other mobile tech industry.
back in Clearwater, it was kind of a little bit balanced of everything, like a thirds of this and thirds of that. So
Yeah.
But PDR has really, as it's grown, it's really hijacked that show.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's called Mobile Tech Expo. It's be Mobile PDR Expo. But
this September show might make that change.
Exactly.
I'm encouraging people to. I mean, they should broaden it out, because that's the theme of it. But I mean, look, personally, I really don't care, guys. If it's in Vegas, it's closer for me.
Yeah.
I like it closer to Vince.
Yeah.
It's a great venue. I can tell
It's
you
closer
that.
to me.
Yeah, but I know some people on the East Coast. That's a long ways, but there's a lot of things to do. Man.
We've been traveling the long way.
Yeah, it's your turn, East Coast fellas.
Yeah, we've been sacrificing. Time to pay back.
It'll be interesting. Mike, you said you know the venue. Do you think the show in Orlando would all fit under that roof?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's my friend. He's in charge of like these equestrian giant events, and it'll fit it easy.
You know what my concern is from the PDR aspect of Mobile Tech Expo is that we lose the social aspect of it. The show goes on during the day, and then afterwards, everyone converses to, the bar area or the pool area, and we all hang out. We meet each other. We shake hands. We play Quién es más macho. Who's the bigger jet technician, best, and all that stuff. And we get to break a lot of
drunk Olympics.
Drunk Olympics. We break a lot of barriers in that aspect. And I think
is that going to change this year, though, with it being there? It's not at a hotel this time.
No,
in Orlando.
Yeah, it's the host hotel is a couple miles away. They do have. I've been told that they have shuttles that are going to be running continuously back and forth. So.
Okay.
I have a feeling this is going to be a more bigger conversation as we get the more details because I would like to talk about that hotel theme and then this one because, but that's just our first thoughts of it. That's my first thought.
Sure.
I think
we need to move on to our wholesale topic.
Yeah. That's what I think.
This is a very time consuming topic.
Sure.
So, but yeah, let's revisit this.
We will revisit it, and we'll also talk about the PDR Olympic convention that's going on in December in Branson, Missouri.
Listeners, give us your feedback. We'll bring this up next week and give us your feedback. Post some stuff on the Facebook page.
I've already talked to the owner of the PDR Olympics in Branson, Missouri, so we will be talking about this shortly. So,
okay.
All right, Mr. Day.
To recap our last show. So,
absolutely.
We're trying to establish standards in the wholesale industry. One, having a size limit. Dave, you talked about that. And setting parameters. No cracked paint, no body lines, that sort of thing. Why don't you expand on that?
Sure. So, as we spoke last time, we laid some groundwork and defined what we're going to do. And, I didn't say it at our last podcast, but I'd fix cars all day long for $25. And people are going to go, wait a minute, you're nuts. Well, no, I'm not. But each of those $25 cars is going to have 2 thumbtack-sized dents, and somebody's going to roll the window down for me, and these are the parameters, and I'll fly through them, and I'll do 600 cars a day. That's a damn good day. But the point is, we've laid groundwork, we've setting parameters, like you said, Daniel. We've got size limits. We've got volume requirements from your customer. These are things that are very simple. And so in doing that, that was the foundation for moving forward and building. And I think it'll become clear as we move through that you can revisit these issues and these situations with your customers if these needs and requirements are not being met. And by either party as well. It could be the dent provider is not providing a fair shake either. And so the customer can come back and say, wait a minute, you told me you would do X for X and you're not living up to it. So it is a two-way street, but we've defined the boundaries, and then we're going to move on from that. And that's how we're going to be able to grow it, manage it as a business, and capitalize and change this pricing piece on the wholesale industry that everyone seems to be chirping about and have a problem with, and also don't seem to have a handle on how to overcome it.
Sure. Now, David, if you don't mind, because I was gone during that episode, and forgive me, I didn't listen to the whole episode, but
What?
did you have, was there a solution that you guys had for, or you, Dave, not a solution, but a formula or a little way of being able to implement that plan that you're doing with people who are currently with the wholesale market? Because I find that's a huge hill to climb after you've already have the prices there, right? You've been there a while, and all of a sudden you're like, well, you know what? Can we come back to the table for this, like that? Is there a way that you attack that?
Sure, there is, and I'd like to get into that, and we can get into that. I'd like to make that, probably step 2 or 3 here tonight, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And I do have a formula, but it also starts, the formula begins when you become the new vendor, and you take on the account, and you have your conversation with the new account, or the managers, plural, whomever your customer is, and you set forth the parameters. And I'm going to go over them real quickly again, but you set forth these parameters at the beginning. Now, we can get into how do you take it from your existing customer and implement it or grow it. But if you go in and you get the phone call tomorrow, Myke, hey, come on down, I need a new dent guy. We've all heard that story. But you go in and you have your prepared mission statement. And as I said on our last podcast, I walk in with, 3, 4, 5 things in general. One is my wholesale pricing outline with a volume requirement. If you're going to do business with me, I'll be happy to, but I need X amount of cars per week from this account. You do your diligence, you find out how many cars they're selling, you look at what they've got going on, you ask questions. What was your previous vendor doing? What's your average spend? What are you looking for? You ask questions to get information. So I walk in with my preferred pricing guide, which includes the volume parameter. I'd like to see 10 to 15 cars per week out of this dealership. And for that, at that volume, then you will get my best pricing. And I've got it listed that it's subject to size and accessibility on the damage, and up to 10 dings or dents per vehicle, no larger than 2 inches, with no broken paint or sharp creases. And then I have a couple of footnotes where aluminum and high-strength steel vehicles are subject to a 25% increase, and additional R&I as necessary if that plays into it. And then from the 2-inch number, I move up. I have 3 levels for non-customary damage. So my customary was up to 10 dings and dents on a used car for my price of X. Whatever that is, throughout the country, throughout the world, your price of X needs to be in line. You can't be out of line and still be competitive. But then you move into the next category. I quantify it as dents that are 2 to 4 inches in diameter and creases up to 5 inches in length. And then I go to another pricing level. And then beyond that, I go 5 to 8 inches and creases up to 8 inches. And there's a secondary tier on pricing. And then my third guideline is dents that are 8 to 12 inches in diameter and creases up to 12 inches.
No.
And that's my third add-on higher price. Go ahead.
Now, Dave, we had, for our listening audience, on episode 129, under the show notes, we actually gave you a link to this parameters. We have in there, which is the Dave's professional dent wholesale guide. So I'm going to put that link there as well, so you guys could reference exactly what Dave is talking about here. And these are the parameters that he is talking about currently, which we talked about on 129 as well. So keep that in mind that, you might be listening, but we do have a tangible copy that you could go back and reference to and know exactly what Dave is talking about. And Mobile Tech RX is hopefully going to be implementing some of these changes into their system as well.
Yeah, we'll actually install Dave's pricing guide. We're actually going to put it into the price-a-dent area, and it will be labeled as Dave's Wholesale. And then it's going to just follow right with the parameters that he set. So you set your base pricing, just like Dave said. It doesn't matter what, we're not going to dictate to you what that pricing should be. You know what it needs to be for your market. But then after that, all of your add-ons and your changes then reflect as it goes through those size categories. So yeah, hopefully that will be I got to powwow with Eric when he gets back from vacation, but I think that's going to come out right before we start the mass programming for the big change.
How nice is it that Eric is trolloping through the Swiss Alps right now with his beautiful wife, and I think maybe like his father-in-law or something like that.
I believe it's his in-laws. Yeah. So, well, he puts in the last build that we just sent out. I mean, those guys, and discussing Dave's pricing guide too. I mean, they were bouncing back and forth as late as midnight my time, and I'm an hour behind them.
Yeah.
So they've been burning the midnight oil.
Let me ask you, Myke. So one of the things we didn't really touch on is employees. So we as owners are good salesmen, but when you have employees that are going out and you have to coach them to do the things that we're talking about. What kind of things do you have to deal with, Myke, in trying to get your guys to get better practices in the wholesale market?
Are you talking about them going to get accounts? Or are you talking to
or maintaining the wholesale accounts? Because you've had wholesale accounts for years.
Honestly,
One quick second.
Yeah.
One quick second. Dave, you're all alone. You don't have employees, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Go, Myke. Let's hear it from an employer.
Number one, I don't feel it's their responsibility to go out and get accounts for me. So that's number one. Number two, it's me.
Sure.
Because if they have to go get the account, then I feel like that's their account. So it's my responsibility. And if there's a problem with the pricing, that's where I step in. I don't have them do any of the negotiation. It's me. So I feel once I think that I should give them that responsibility, then what's the point of having me around? So my technicians, that's why they like to work for me, is because I go in there and I'm in the front. I'm the bullet catcher. If they have a problem, they come see me, and then I talk to the manager and do a spiel like what Dave's doing. But it's interesting because this is really good because we all need new ammunition, man. So this is a really interesting topic. I think it's good. That's why I wanted to be here. So that's my answer to your question, Dan.
Cool.
Now, as a side note, John, whilst I don't have employees directly, I do subcontract out to 3 or 4 guys that I know, that I trust implicitly. We all have our own company. We all operate independently, but we are all this little network, and we all get along great. We have lunch whenever we all have time. We cover vacations. If somebody calls from an area, I'm in Phoenix. Phoenix is a big area geographically. If somebody calls and they're closer to one of the other guys, I'll just flat out give them that call. But I have a couple of accounts where I subcontract guys throughout the week. So even though they're not my employees per se, I'll say this. The account will sometimes try to pull the wool over your eyes. And these guys are smart. They're good at it. That's what they do. They're just, it's business. And you've got to take it with a grain of salt. So I had a couple of guys at a dealership that were working for me. I've got one guy that covers Mondays and Fridays, and another guy does Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we're there every day of the week at this particular account. And one of the body shop estimators asked one of the guys on Monday how much for this dent, and then on Tuesday did the exact same thing. And again, we were off by a whopping $20 or something. Nobody's going to arm wrestle you over $20.
Yeah.
But for the estimator at the shop, that's an extra $20 margin in his bottom line, and he's going to add to his compensation on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it happens, But again, I try and instill it, and Myke, I'm sure you do. My point with these guys, and they'll call me and say, "Oh, wait a minute, hey, so and so is doing this and that and the other." I said, "That's fine. We already have set forth our pricing parameter. There's no negotiating here. It's done. And if anybody has a problem with it, when I send the invoice to them, then they can call me and I'll flat out tell them, no, we agreed upon this from day one."
Yeah.
Again, you can revisit that with your foundation, with your building block, which was podcast 129.
I'm glad. Yeah. Go ahead, Myke.
Do you make them have a contract with that, or is that just like in like you show them that's what it is and they agree?
My customers,
your accounts.
My account, yeah, my customer, yeah, it is. I walk in. We were back and forth a little bit at this particular account on pricing, and I came down $2.25. But as a result, it's provided me with significant volume. So the guys are doing very well at this account. But yeah, it's not a signed document that's notarized and the attorneys have hashed out or anything. But it is one of these forefront documents you walk in with and say, here's what we're going to do for you. Here are our commitments and our parameters and our pricing and our sizing guide, and this is what we're doing for X. And anything beyond that goes to these next steps.
Now, Dave,
I have to say, that's the best discount line I have ever heard in this business. I had to drop my pants. $2.25. $2.
Got it right up the
and that is what I came down.
Now,
That's awesome.
This is my take on it. If I'm a used car sales manager and you present me with this price guide, maybe the angle is that you just spun their heads so hard that they don't even want to deal with it. They're like, okay, this thing is so freaking complicated. It's more complicated than my monthly, spreadsheets that I have to deal with my GM. So, okay, yeah, you know what? You're legit. You're professional looking. I'm just going to give it to you because you're presenting yourself more professional than any other dent company that has ever walked in here.
Well, Vince, I think
no one else has come in with that kind of solicitation. And again, as I said in the other podcast, I also walk in with my W-9, I walk in with my proof of insurance, and I walk in with my hybrid electric certificate.
Right.
That blows them out of the water.
Well, I think what people are missing the point is everyone, we know it, but we don't realize it. But Dave, you go in there, you justify why you're doing what you're doing. I mean,
correct.
You help them make sense why you're charging. It's when guys that say they whip out a price and they don't justify why they have to charge what they charge.
Yeah,
they're shooting in the dark, and the guy's never going to understand. Even though it's a legitimate price, he's never going to understand why he wants that money. But you go in there, you justify why you're charging. You come prepared. You look organized. You look organized. You are professional in there, and you leave with a great impression. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Part of not just the price guide, but how you sell it too.
Right.
The whole works.
Yeah. Now I'm glad that Mike's here because for years that we've been doing this podcast with Myke and Daniel and Hailey, we used to talk proudly about, oh man, when a used car dealership calls, we're not going to stoop to that level and do that. And, Myke has had his accounts that he's had for years. But after having Dave on a couple times and talking to Dave privately, we might be leaving a lot of money on the table that could be utilized. Myke has employees. Excuse me. He has technicians. He could actually potentially get new accounts with this type of structure. And if they don't go for it, then it's not worth it. For years, people call me from Joe Blow car dealership. Hey, we need a dent guy, blah, blah. You know what? And my response is, oh, you're not going to like my prices. I'm too expensive for you. Because I don't want to deal with it. But really, I'm leaving money on the table. If I had a technician that I could give this account to that is under this parameters, this is now opening up another revenue stream. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's because you didn't have a plan.
No,
you don't have a battle plan. You know what I mean? It's like everything has that's what I teach. And it's formulas, right? If you don't have any formula, how do you expect anything to work? Because you got to justify what you're doing. It's the same to the customer. Look, I have a schedule. Here's my schedule. Here's the formula. Book it. This is what I charge. This is why I charge. Mobile Tech RX. I mean, it's a presentation to the customer. And what do you think? Like I think you heard this covered a little bit too, Dave. Is you go to a body shop, they're not just going to whip out a price in their head. It's a system that they go by, and it's a presentation in a way, whether you think it is or not. And then they give you the printout, and they justify why they're charging what they're charging.
Exactly, and the same as the body shop does with a CCC estimate. It's broken down line by line, what you've got, what you're doing. Yeah, there's no difference. We just, for so long, have done it as a run and gun setup and go, yeah, that one's going to cost you $125. And you pull this number out of thin air. But now, with everything, it's a structure and a formula, and it works. and can work and can, again, very slowly. It's not going to happen overnight. I'm going to say that 3 times tonight. But you very slowly begin to steer that ship and change the direction wholesale is going and the perception of it. And again, you've got to, we're in an industry where we have to coddle these customers on the wholesale side. And I'm going to use 3 words here. You got to educate them, you got to inspire them, and then change their thinking on what PDR is. Because we're not a bunch of guys with a sack of tools. We're not a commodity, and we're not going to be told what our price is for our service.
For our
business. It is something that we do, and it's our business. It's ours to tell them, and also define with this methodology and the formula.
Amen! Amen!
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, man. I'm drinking it.
No, I hate this concept. I hate the concept that some outside force controls all of our pricing. And
who made that up? When did that happen?
Exactly. And Dave, after we had you on 129, it made me thinking, and I talked with several of my other friends in the PDR business as well. And it's like, man, that's that professional edge that you're describing and you're walking in there with, when you go into a dealership, it's missing in the wholesale end. There's tons of professionals servicing wholesale, but they're still viewed like Joe Blow mullet man in his garage in a back alley.
Right.
We know,
and it's not the case.
We know Joe Blow mullet man, don't we, Dave? Back in Chicago. Never mind. Sorry, I just had to use that.
Now, let me ask you this, Dave. I think one of the biggest problems with wholesale is that call you get from the body shop.
That's my high school photo of mullet man.
Mullet man.
Okay.
I don't know that.
You're gonna make me laugh. Sorry,
that's hockey hair.
That is hockey hair. You nailed it, Vince. Daniel, shall I start my comedy career in Vegas at MTE or in Branson at the World PDR Olympic?
Definitely Branson. Vegas is big time.
We'll get you a shot at the Dolly Parton stage at Branson, Missouri.
So this question is for Dave and Mike. So you've got your wholesale accounts, but you get that call from that body shop or that dealer, and I've got an emergency. And it's not an emergency. Most of the times it's not.
It's a dent in the car
right away.
It's a dent in the car. How could it be an emergency?
Right. And
it's going to auction.
They got the car for sale. The customer's coming down in an hour. Can you get here? And dealing with wholesale and scheduling, I think, is a whole nother probably podcast. But maybe you can touch on that, both of you, what you do, and maybe conditioning that customers, hey, we can't just come out here on the spur of the moment. So how do you deal with that?
Are you talking about an account that you already have or something?
Yeah, one that you already have, and they go, hey, I got to have you right now. Or I've got a dent. When can you be here? And they're making it urgent.
Well, I simple. If I can't make it, I tell them the truth, and then I tell them, listen, we will go out of our way and go to the customer's house and handle it for you. That's the easiest way. The customer usually wants to do that anyways. It's convenient for them, and it's helpful to them. It makes them look like the good guy. So that's what I try to help them, encourage them to do that. If they can't do that, then they're totally being an asshole, and there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, we really have to.
Do you charge an upcharge for that?
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends who I'm speaking with.
You don't know where that customer is going to. I mean, that customer might live 30 miles away.
But if it's a good account, Daniel, I'm going to play by ear. You know what I mean? I mean, if it's a good account, I do a lot of business with them. But
I don't like that answer.
They put me there.
That's Dave. Real quick, do you upcharge every time?
Not every time, but if it makes sense and it's the right time, yes. And nobody has had a word with me. I'm usually about $50 extra to do the call out.
I know what Dave does.
To the customer's home. So Myke absolutely nailed it with that. But Daniel, back to your original question, you've got to ask the right questions to begin with of your account. You need to find out where they are. So let's call it a dealer or a body shop. Hey, listen, is this really the delivery for today? Yes is the answer. Then you know it is. It's the hot button. If it's at a body shop and the molding is still off and the window's out and it hasn't gone through detail yet and it's 2:30 in the afternoon, guess what? That car's not going home today. So again, you've got to ask questions to get that information. But then again, you can make it up, as Myke said, make it a mobile piece, go to the customer's home, or I always try to budget in a little bit of time. And yes, we can make that another discussion point later. But I try and budget in some time throughout my days, throughout the week, so that I can field an emergency call or two here or there, or coordinate with the other 4 technicians. We're the best 5 guys in the valley in terms of our network, and figure out who can get there and can we cover it.
And it's a give and take too, right?
It is very much give and take.
Yeah,
and if this is an account that's doing $10,000 a month with me, I'm jumping through hoops because that's a lot of cash and that's a big account.
Yeah.
Now, if it's the guy that calls me every other week and doesn't have too much for me, okay. But he's going to definitely get the $50 upcharge.
Or you're going to charge him an extra panel on the next time you're on the lot, right?
Again, it's all relative. You make it. You balance your own checkbook in life that way, don't you?
We do.
That's what you're saying, right, Myke?
Yeah, gentlemen, I don't think I honestly, Daniel, I have to go back and answer your question. This, my charge, I don't have a set price for my dealerships. So, I mean, at least most of my accounts. I have one for a Honda account, but they know if I'm doing a customer, it's not the same price. So it's usually a due bill, something that we've already taken care of, and now they're paying on their own dime upsell. So different. I know you haven't been in the wholesale game for a while, Daniel, but we run things a little different these days.
Yeah. No,
but there is margin, and you can easily justify why you're tacking on $50 to go from 80 to $130.
Yeah.
Nobody's arguing with you.
I think
$75 to $125. Nobody's going to arm wrestle you for $50.
And
if they are, that's not an account that you want to continue to do long-term business with because they want to chisel you down on something like that, and you're going out of your way to help them look like the hero. They really, truly don't appreciate and don't understand the industry and what it is we do.
And I think the important thing you said, Dave, is, and Daniel, I think you mentioned, what you got to ask where they're at. Okay, where am I going? If you offer that, say, hey, depending where they're at, I need to know where they're going, and let me see what I can work out with you. So
I'll be honest, I really think it's more with because I only deal with body shops, and it's frustrating because they don't schedule me. I forgot about that Dan. Oh, I better call Dan. And I better get him here right away because my boss is going to yell at me.
This is where your schedule comes in too, if you have it, and you need to tell them, listen, I am pretty packed or I'm scheduled. Here's my schedule. Look, you can either book an appointment with me here, or you can do the thing I just mentioned. You can contact the customer and squeeze them in somewhere. But at least they'll respect that if you have a schedule in place, they can see the schedule in real time, and then they can respect that you have that schedule, and then let them book it, or you have to contact the customer and squeeze it in per your schedule. So it's a good way for them to realize, man, this guy really is busy. You know what I mean? He really does run a business.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the body shop end of it, when I was working in a retail location and the shop would call up, and I would just tell them straight up, I'm booked. I'm busy all day. If this is truly an emergency, you need to make sure your customer is okay with you putting a test drive miles and test drive that thing over here, and I will fix it for you.
Yeah.
Good idea.
But otherwise, it's not happening. I'm booked all day at my retail shop. So right now, I'm more or less working in the back of a body shop. So they just spin them around, and I just tweak them out. But I cracked the paint on 2 hoods, and they covered it. So I don't care if I tweak out a quick dent to help one of the guys out. Heck, I fixed the one guy's mom's. I fixed this little door dent. I spent like 15 minutes on it. He Zamboni'd both my stalls for like an hour and a half. I've got the cleanest floors in the entire body shop.
Well, you should. You're a dent guy. We don't get dirty. Come on.
Exactly. I was like, we got to clean this place up. So he rebuilt the Zamboni my whole floor. It's all spick and span, and I just had to fix a dent. That's a win.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't have any dealers. I only have body shops that I do wholesale, and I've set a precedence that they know I am mobile strictly on Tuesday and Thursday. If they call me on a Monday, sorry, it's not happening. Hold the car over till Tuesday, and I'll come and get it on Tuesday or Thursday, and that's it. And they try to, flex their muscles every once in a while, but sorry guys, Tuesday or Thursday. And if they call me at 2:00 on a Tuesday, sorry, it's going to be Thursday. And they just know that ahead of time. Usually the body shops, unless they're completely, befuddled, they could hold a car an extra day to send it back to the customer.
That goes right back to what Myke was saying with having them respect your schedule.
Exactly. Yeah.
You've trained all those people to respect your schedule and to know yours.
They don't like it. They didn't like it at first, but they don't mind it now. And, one of those body shops I've had for like 15 years.
I actually eliminated all that time because people were like, hey, Myke, what's your schedule? Can you get here today? They call me every other day. Can you get here today? Or can you get here tomorrow? Can you get here? Look, man, here's my schedule. This is a link. This link stays current no matter what time, what day, or no matter when you want to look at it. That's my schedule. If you want to book something, you take that spot. I encourage you to do that because it doesn't last. Right. And so now they don't even call me anymore. I just see an appointment.
Yeah.
Boom, there.
And the real thing here is this. For some reason, and I don't know all the answers. For a long time, we are taken for granted in terms of being available, but also like we're like this little, we're like a little leprechaun. All of a sudden we just appear. The magical dent guy's appeared and he's here and he's fixing dents. Yay. And then he's gone. And then we've all heard it. Are you really busy doing that dent stuff? You still doing that dent thing? You get these questions, right? They don't understand that this is a global billion-dollar industry. Wake up, people. And so, Daniel, back to your piece with the glue, it's down to the molecular level. This is a science. Yeah. It is not fascination. It is not fantasy. It is down to the molecular level.
It's not a game.
Plastic. It is not a game, John. You're 100% right. But it's to the molecular level with the glue, the chemistry, and the science behind it. You've got a plastic glue tab. Glue itself is a plastic, and paint is a plastic. And they all adhere to each other. How does that happen? It's down to the molecular level. And
science.
This is where you can science. This is where you can take this conversation and educate your customers and inspire them that this is not just Joe shit the rag man and a sack of fucking tools in the back of his pickup truck coming to fix your door dings.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a real business. And
you know what? I want all of us to put bras on our head right now.
I'm shaking a Bible over here. I'm like, preach on, brother! Preach
We're
on!
science.
You parlay that into your communication with your customers, and you educate them that this is a business, and we are not sitting here waiting by the phone for you to call for the one-off door ding.
Right. Yeah.
We're busy doing 15 cars at the wholesale lot because the guy agreed to do it at my pricing.
I got a friend that's an orthopedic surgeon, and he brags about being able to do 15 knees a day and 5 shoulders, right, on his surgery day. He goes to surgery on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So do you think he drops his price because he could do 15 knees a day and 5 shoulders?
There's no wholesale pricing in knee replacement.
Yes, right? He does, because he's dealing with the insurance company.
Well, baby.
God, I don't know if I want that guy working on my knee.
Yeah, right.
15
no, he worked on my knee. It's perfectly fine. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's
so that puts everything in perspective. PDR guys, you don't charge enough.
Right.
There's a guy out there doing 15 knees a day.
Right.
And those are what? 75 grand?
Right.
I'm gonna tell a quick story, and I don't talk money with anybody because that's money is for my wife and my accountant and me. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm terribly sorry to the other PDR podcasts, but we shouldn't talk specifics. But the great Dave Streen and I knocked out a hail car last week on Monday.
Bragger.
And killed it. All right. That's all I'm going to say about that. So I was back in the body shop a couple days later, and the owner's really cool, but, occasionally that jealous factor rolls in there. He comes by, he goes, "Doctor's rates again today?" And I chuckled, and I said, "I haven't made doctor's rates in 15 years.
Yeah, you surpassed him.
Read into that how you want. If you know what I mean. Anyway, so listen, let's touch on some current situations and some real life pieces.
Yeah, please.
And how we're going to take wholesale from our I'm going to throw the number out there. You can crucify me if you want. From your $65 a car deals, how are you going to take that higher, and how are you going to give yourself a raise? And the first thing, really, because we've set the groundwork and the foundation on what you're going to do with that pricing parameter, you're going to touch on why we can't do cars for $65 anymore. Okay? Today's
How about
technology,
$35 a car is what I
how about
heard.
35? Okay.
I heard 25 in Chicago.
Whatever. Yes, I heard that too, Vince. It doesn't matter the number. Here's the reason you can't do it. It's goddamn dirt cheap. Okay? Today's technology on these vehicles, you cannot take the life of working on today's cars and survive and pay yourself and pay your insurance and pay your savings account and your taxes at that kind of rate. It doesn't work. And then split it if you're working for a
And something's got to give. You're either going to get rid of your insurance, you're going to get something.
You get rid of everything, John, and we'll go there in a second because that's on my side notes here. You get rid of everything. It all goes out the window in lieu of just run and gun and shoot a hole and make 7 pushes and plug it and go. And you cannot operate that way. We have dual pane glass, the electronics in the cars, the pre and post scanning. All of this is going to play a big factor, and certainly already has. But you cannot operate and do so effectively in a business environment at that price point. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Now the airbag sensors are right there in the doors and attached. Look at the Teslas on the Gullwing doors.
Yeah.
There's a no-go zone that's almost a 1-foot circle through the whole center of that Gullwing door.
Right.
You know what?
Model X.
That gives me an idea, Dave. So let's say you're in a wholesale account. You're doing rock bottom prices.
Yep.
Hey, why can't you go to that account and say, look, I can't operate at this price anymore. If you want me to continue operating at this price, I need you to cover any broken glass, any broken sensors, any codes you have to wipe out. You have to do all this, all the things you just mentioned. You have to do all those things for me from this point forward.
Right. Write it into your pricing guide then that you hand them, for
Let
your
them deal with it.
foundation, for your foundation and groundwork.
And if they
write it in there.
give you blowback, then you say, okay, then I got to charge this amount to be able to cover those things.
Yep. You can't, my insurance costs went up this year, and I have a great insurance agent, and she's independent and shops it around. But my liability, my garage keeper, the general garage keeper liability went up this year. And I said, why is it going up? I haven't had a claim. This is absurd. But it's the reality of the world, Yep. Everything's increasing except PDR pricing, and that's changing.
I agree.
Today.
I'm so
Today.
Yep.
And anybody doing $35 cars should come over here to Phoenix. We'll put a boxing ring in my backyard and we'll go.
Yeah.
I challenge anybody to come here with a set of balls big enough to tell me and justify why they're doing cars at $35. Tell me, what in the world are you thinking?
Yeah.
It's generally because somebody else dictated that price.
Yeah. You nailed it, John. Absolutely. So we're going to take it back.
Number one body problem.
Well, we're going to raise these prices. I'm going to help open eyes on how to do that here tonight.
With our listening audience, though, just to reiterate, we're talking about working a lot. When you're working in the service drive or the body shop at the dealership, it's completely different than what Dave is talking here. Correct?
Yeah, we're talking strictly wholesale.
Strictly
you're going
wholesale.
to the car lot. You're fixing the cars at the lot.
Yeah.
But again, Vince, you bring up a valid point, because now you have a situation where you as the vendor need to approach that customer and say, I don't believe that we're capitalizing on all aspects.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you begin opening their eyes and you show them what the potentials are, what can be done, and why.
I have a total case study going on right now with a gentleman that I've been mentoring at my shop for the last couple of months. He has dealerships. All he works is wholesale down here in the Newport Beach area in California. And he has Ferrari, he has Maserati, he has Bentley, he has all the dealerships on PCH. And for years ago, I'm like, oh man, I should go in there and try and get those when I was first starting out. But he's been there for like 15 years now. And he's been listening to our podcast. And he wanted me to thank Dave because he's gone in there now into, and Mobile Tech RX as well. He's been listening to our podcast. He's a Dent Trainer member. He loves everything that Myke and John do over there and has learned a lot from them. And now, he's listening to our podcast and learning that we need to be charging more. And the numbers that he's getting in his service drive now for working on these Bentleys and Maseratis and stuff, he's blowing me away at the retail pricing. And it's like, what the hell, dude? He's taken what he's learned from us and taken it to the wholesale level in those service drives and killed it. He is killing it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
So these formulas work. I want our listeners to know that these formulas work. We're not just on here, combined with the 5 guys that you have on here right now, you have over 125 years of dent removal experience, and we've all done it. We've done the wholesale, we've done the retail, we've worked the service drives and rentals and stuff like that. We're not shooting into the bucket here. We're live action. We know what we're talking about, and I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back. We're living it. So I want you guys to pay attention and take something from this, at least one thing from it.
Well, I'm going to be real straight up here to everybody here, and I'm going to speak for the guys who actually don't believe in themselves, and I was one of those guys. And I think it starts with yourself. First of all,
sure.
You got to learn to believe in yourself, that you are well worth the cost that you're asking for, and you got to come in there with some ammunition. Dave's giving a great formula on how to do that, but it starts with yourself first. There's no magic wand, like he said, like here it is, and now it's going to work, and all of a sudden you're going to make way more money, and the manager is going to give you what you want. They're not going to do it if you don't believe it first. First of all, you got to go in there and justify and show and have some confidence that you can actually charge for that. You believe in your prices, and then justify it and do exactly what he's preaching, and that's how it goes.
Now, Myke, on the flip side of that, or along with that, is that if you don't have the confidence in your work, if you're putting out crappy work or subpar work, or if you're not getting that last 10% out, you guys need to educate yourself and get proper training, get advanced training, go to Dent Trainer, go to an advanced training seminar.
Go to MTE. Get better tools. Level up your tools.
Exactly. Get involved in this industry that we love. The 5 of us love this industry. It's been good to us, and we're giving back.
If you are going to charge all the money, you need to do all the work.
Right.
You can't shortcut it.
I'm going to touch on that as well when we get there.
Go.
So let's go on. So let's talk about raising prices. Oh God, I'm scared and the sky's falling. No, it's not. So you're going to raise prices, period. Come January 1st, all your route guys are going to go into your new account, into your existing account. You're going to say, I'm moving my price up 3%. Oh, it can't be done. It can't be done. The sky's falling, right, Chicken Little? Wrong. It's very simple. 3% is a no-brainer. John, I said I came down $2.25. Yep. That was my 3% increase from a $75 wholesale car to $77.25. 3% was $2.25.
Yep.
For $80, what's 3%? $2.40. Big deal. Nobody's going to arm wrestle you over that. And if they are, you got to reconsider your relationship with them. So when's a good time to do this? Well, a good time's the first of the year. And why? No brainer. You've got cost of living increases. You've got renewed insurance. You know what's coming up. Your health insurance goes up if you pay for it individually, etc. It's a no-brainer and a time to do it. And it's a time to regroup and revisit at the first of the year. It's January 1st, Mr. Manager. I'd like to sit down with you and visit on what we're going to do this year coming up as your provider, as your preferred vendor,
and that's
you as my preferred customer.
Let me step in real quick. There's something very important there, Dave, is you said at 3%. And as far as us dent guys go, we tend to think not so much in percentage, especially on the wholesale aspect of it, as we do 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, $25 increments.
Right.
And you're breaking that mold. And you're talking to 3% because nobody busts your chops over 3%.
Right.
But guess what? At the end of 5 years, that's 15%.
Right.
Exactly.
You can't just go in there.
It's more than that, John.
Yeah.
You do the math because you added
What?
3% this year. Yeah, it's
3%.
more than that.
It accumulates.
But it's not. But again, it's not that shock wave of going up $25.
Exactly.
And so it's a slow and methodical turn of the ship, and you're riding it in the direction you want it to go.
Changing.
So I had to start out at $75 here in Phoenix, and I'm high at 75. Okay, because we are $40 to $65 generally speaking. Whole car pricing, cleanup, whatever they do for that, who knows? But we'll go there in a second as well. And I came in at 75, but proved the difference. As you said, we got the job done. We got that last 10% done, Vince. So then you move up 3% from there, and nobody batted an eye. They were kind of questioning, going, why is it $77.25? And I very simply explained, hey, cost of living increase 3 to 5% per year. I was at $75 last year. This year I'm $77.25. Next year I might push it to 80 from 77 rather than 79, 86 or whatever the oddball number is, adding 3% now. But it's a very simple formula with baby steps that you take. But you have got to understand why we can't work on these vehicles at yesterday's archaic prices with high-strength steel and aluminum. You've got to justify it and educate and be your own advocate and tell these people, meaning your customers, this is why. And you map it out. It is a formula, and you map it out, and then you don't leave any room for any discussion or argument or blowback on it.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Totally agree. I was always told.
Also consider, if you don't want to wait till January 1st, hey, your fiscal year is tomorrow. Or hey, gas prices went up. Yeah, quarterly. Or your gas prices just went up.
Right.
So I got to raise the prices.
Again, we go back to the original document on episode 129 with these pricing parameters on your volume cleanup price at the wholesale level. And you come back to your customer, and you've got to make time and do it right. We're going to get into that in a couple other steps here. But you make time for it, and you do a review. And I don't care if it's a quarterly or monthly review or however it works out, but you review with the customer where you are. How are you performing for them? How are they performing for you? Now, it takes a little gumption to get over that hurdle and to sit down and speak like that in business terms, because we're all used to pulling a number out of our head. We got a sack of tools. Those days are gone. We are an industry and a business. And so now, how have we performed for you in the last 90 days? Are we meeting your needs as your vendor? Flip side, are you meeting my needs on volume and pricing? Am I getting enough money out of this account to justify driving over here? It's a two-way street, but it's a business relationship, and it's an easy one to do. But you make the appointment, you set the time, you respect that individual's time with what they do in their schedule. It's not something you waltz in unless you have that relationship and you know it. You don't just waltz in and sit down and go, so Joe, how are we doing for you? No, you don't. You've got to carve out time, maybe take them to lunch, sit down, define what you want to do with them so that they know they're in for a serious deal. It's not just you and your buddies going to Hooters for chicken wings.
Yeah.
I think you're right. You have to have some chemistry with the manager, the owner.
Without
number one. Yep. And again, Dave, I think that these guys got to believe in themselves. They're let's just face it, Dave. They're not going to bring this up, dude, if they don't believe in it. You know what I mean? And that's why these prices stay that way. I mean, I'm not going to bullcrap you. These guys are charging $35, $25 a car. They're afraid to say something because they don't believe in themselves, first of all. And they think they're already predicting what's going to happen in their head. Oh, if I say I'm going to raise my prices, I'm going to get cut. He's going to tell me that. They're already like justifying the wrong way. You know what I mean? They're justifying they're going to get fired, so they're not going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go into why the cheap dent guy costs you money. We're going to go there as well, Myke. So in addition to believing in yourself, then there's a reason why you have to believe in yourself and showcase the talents and benefits of our industry.
I have to go, Dave, but I am going to listen. I am going to listen to this one.
Better. You told me you didn't listen all the way through.
You got to go back to 133 and listen. Or I'm sorry,
129.
Gosh, I can't get it right.
47.
122.
Hey gang, this is Dave Schaulat. I'm the guest and I'm hosting as well. This is episode 133. We're revisiting 129.
Dave, I love you, man. I can sit and speak with you and talk with you all night, man. But I will catch you later on. Okay.
All
right.
Thanks, Myke.
Right,
We'll talk to you soon.
So the industry's evolved just as the dealership, and let's call it the dealership because that's our true wholesale market. The industry, meaning PDR, has evolved just as the industry and the dealership has evolved. And so the service labor rates have gone up, right? The cost of the cars have gone up. Why? Technology's there. You know, the Ford Ranger. How much did a Ford Ranger used to cost? $59.95, $79.95, something like this, right?
Yeah.
The Honda Civic used to be $79.95, $89.95, right?
Right. Not 32,000.
Now they're all 30 grand.
The Civics are $30,000 now, and they got cameras in the mirrors, and if you disconnect them, you set off the electronic tripwires, and you got codes flashing at you in the computer.
Sure, you take a taillight out of a Silverado and you get 17 codes.
We can't operate at this price anymore because of these specific things. And the dealers get that internally. They know it. But they're playing the cards the way they need to because it's business, and they're playing it against the dent guys. You know, but we're not a commodity. We're not being traded on a futures market. It's a serious business. PDR is a serious, huge business, you know? So you've got to dress and act the part when you're doing this as well. You've got to believe in yourself, like Mike Toledo said.
So we got to wrap this thing up. So
We're not done, Daniel.
I know.
We're going
to the next step.
We're moving. So you've got to dress and act the part when you want to go in and do your review with your customer, make an appointment. You want to get the buy-in from others in that dealership. Get the buy-in from the salesman that you bailed out on the deal when you showed up at 5 o'clock on Friday to fix the dent to get the deal done. You've got to get the buy-in so that they're also whispering internally and chirping about how great our vendors are.
Yeah.
So the cheap dent guy costs you money. Flat out. I don't care what anybody says. The first question out of everybody's mouth is how much? And as soon as that question comes out, now it's time to educate your customer and say, why are you asking me how much? Why aren't you asking me about my credentials, what my capabilities are, and what's going on with your vehicles and how I can help you better? Okay?
Yeah.
So here's how the cheap dent guy costs you money. First off, John, to your point, they're shortcutting everything, okay? They're not doing the dents 100%. They're blowing holes. They're blowing through these cars. And that's all you can do when you're at this low price. So first and foremost, you have an inferior repair. They're not going to perform at 5 o'clock on Friday for the delivery for you because they're long gone, okay? And then you've got a loss of the deal or a body shop price to rectify the problem because your cheap dent guy can't perform, okay? So again, you're going to differentiate yourself, separate yourself from the pack. So the cheap dent guy is going to cost you money. And my example is this. You've got to look at it on a volume piece. And so let's just hypothetically, I'm going to go through the math and I'm going to make it as simple as I can here. Let's say I write up 6 cars at my dealership. And let's say I charge $50 a car. Or let me go back. There's 6 cars with damage. I didn't write up 6. There are 6 cars with damage. And I'm the $50 a car guy. I'm the cheap guy. But I'm gonna make the math easy here. And so I can fix 5 of those cars at $50. So what's my cost to the used car department? $250.
$250.
Wrong. My cost to them is at least $500 or $800. You know why? Because I didn't fix that 6th car. And now they got to send it out to the body shop for a few $100. Maybe they're a cheap body shop.
Right.
But you've got to look at it from the point of view that you can educate your customer and say, listen, I'm going to come in at $75. I'm $25 higher than my competitor. Nobody's going to arm wrestle me over $25. And if you are, you're not my customer. But for every car that I turn down, it's going to be costing this dealership $350, $500, $700 at a body shop. And we've got to come back to that point, which is why we're in the industry to begin with, because we were a savings to the used car department to start.
Yeah.
And so now your cheap dent guy, who's only doing 5 out of 6 cars, is costing you money.
Sure.
Because I had to come in for that 6th car, and maybe I would have done it for my $75.
Yeah.
So I would have been $450 total on those 6 cars at $75. And instead you've got 5 cars done at $50 at $250, and an extra car at $500 at $750 total cost to the dealership. And that 750 is more than my
Great point.
450.
Yeah. Yep. That is a fantastic point.
And so then
Change your perspective, people.
when you get into the volume piece, and all of a sudden that $500 body shop bill, guess how many cars I could have done in addition at my $75 rate for that dealership? That's an extra 6 2/3 cars that could have been reconditioned, but the cheap dent guy cost you money because you thought he was such a good deal.
Yeah.
And then the lost sales opportunity is there as well. Again, we are putting these cars out today. They're ready for sale today.
Yeah.
It's not sitting in the body shop 3-5 days.
Sure.
So you've got to then build your value and market yourself and advocate for yourself. But you build value by having these cars ready and that you're capable of doing that. And we've got to get this mindset out of there that the cheap dent guy is the be all end all, because cheap costs you money in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, next point.
That's it for now?
I don't want to say that's it for now,
Well,
but
no.
I think everybody follows that. I hope everybody can follow that.
Absolutely. I think that's also one of these things that we're going to have a continuous conversation about this.
Absolutely.
You know, we're already at the hour mark, so I don't want to.
Yeah. So here's my closing last lines here and thoughts is that the ideas and suggestions to use when you decide to actually grow a set of balls and ask for the money.
Okay.
Believing in yourself, like Myke said. But it takes guts. This is not easy. I stutter and stammer every once in a while myself. But, you've got to come in, you've got to dress the part. You've got to have a dress code. You're not coming in in cut-off jeans and flip-flops asking for extra money, because they're going to look at you like you are the hillbilly.
I remember when Dave used to wear flip-flops, though.
You do?
Yeah. I think it was the ADT lot.
In Chicago in snow?
It was back in Chicago. You were wearing flip-flops at the ADT auction a couple times.
Negative, Ghost.
You know what, Dave? I want to thank you for coming on the show. You're inspiration. I hope all of our listeners get the inspiration that I did. I think they do. And we want to hear feedback from our listeners. Let us know if this is working for you. We need feedback. We need to change this industry, like what Paul Corden did for the retail industry. Dave Schaulat's doing for the wholesale industry, in my opinion.
Yes, that first show exploded.
Yeah,
it really did.
And we're going to turn this ship around. It's going to be a slow turn, but we're going to turn it around, and we're going to do away with these $35 a car crap.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's more to come. I've got more information, more ideas. We'll do that next time.
Yeah. Well, next time we're going to stay the course and stay a little bit stronger on what we're talking about, and try not to get too diverted. But yeah,
Vegas.
We're in
Vegas.
Yeah.
We set the groundwork, Vince, and now we're building upon it. You set the groundwork with the parameters, and now we're building on it. And we're going to show how you can continue to build on it and get a stronger relationship, deeper penetration,
sure,
and ultimately show your value and the higher revenue and the higher dollar mark. And now everybody's going to be working even less and making more.
Yeah, and I want
a great guy term, penetration.
Penetration, yes, with the tip, just the tip. But we will continue to have you on. Where we're at is that there's times where I know myself, my head gets really spun because I get really excited about what you're saying, and I'm stuck on two sentences back. So I want all our listeners to be able to. That's a good thing about the podcast. You could go back and listen to this over and over and get all the captions of what you need to hear and comprehend. But in that aspect, we do have to get going because it is a shorter podcast. Actually, it's not a shorter podcast. We're at 110 minutes now.
Yeah,
school night.
And it's a school night, and we will have Dave back on here shortly, and we will continue this conversation. There's a few more bullet points that we are going to cover with Dave, and we won't get sidetracked so much like we did on this one. So, what do you have to say, Daniel?
All right, guys, don't forget to buy some hot glue, Magnatech mat, and get on your Mobile Tech RX, and then that covers leveling up your tools. You can just do those 3 things.
Sure.
Right? Yeah, that's leveling up your tools. So if you haven't done those 3 things, do those 3 things, and you've done what I've asked every single week. Level up your tools.
John?
And don't do stupid stuff like selling your service cheap.
I really need to come up with something. Dave Schaulat, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Dave.
Guys, thank you.
All right.
This has been another episode of PDR Tool Time.